What's going on, Colts Nation? I hope each and every one of you had a wonderful Christmas. And of course, would have been better if the Colts could have gotten a W on Sunday. But what we're looking at here, I want to look at the playoff picture. We've been doing this every week, and I want to go through and look at it now. And it's honestly very similar to how it was just a couple weeks ago. We had, what was it, 6 different teams sitting at 7-6, and now we're sitting in a place where there are a bunch of teams at 8-7. Right? You have the Jaguars at the 4 seed, 8-7. Then you have us at the 7 seed, 8-7. Texans, 8 seed, 8-7. Steelers beat the Bengals, so both of those teams are now 8-7 at 9-10. So there is no wiggle room. We are at a spot where there's zero wiggle room, okay? Because if you look right past the Bengals, you have the Raiders who are 7-8. If the Raiders beat us, they go to 8-8. Right? They'll move up. We'll move way down. It's basically if we lose to the Raiders, we're out of the playoffs. That's what this comes down to. When you look at it, man, like we had our opportunity, right? We had the Jaguars got smoked by the Buccaneers, and we weren't able to capitalize on it. Now we're both sitting at 8-7. And when you start looking at who some of these teams are playing this week, right? Teams that we need to be focused on. One that we haven't mentioned is the Bills at 9-6. They're sitting in the 6 seed in the AFC all of a sudden, and they play the Patriots, so they're more than likely just going to be chilling right there, staying in place. Then you have the Browns, who have been a game above everybody this whole time, basically sitting at the number 5 seed. They're basically locked to make the playoffs at this point, and they own the head-to-head with us. So one way or another, we can't have the 5 seed. We're at a place where we can't have the 5 seed. We can't have the 1 seed. That's either going to be the Ravens or the Dolphins who play each other this week. But if the Colts can somehow some way still win this division, then there's a way we can get 3 seed, right? The Chiefs haven't been great. We've talked about that in pretty much every single one of these playoff videos, man. This Chiefs team is not the Chiefs team of old, man. They're not getting it done the way they used to. So this Chiefs team, I could honestly see them losing out in the rest of their games. And if we're able to win out and we win our division, then we could be the 3 seed. But honestly, that's more of an unlikely scenario, maybe. So when you look at it, we're gunning for either the 4 seed or the 7 seed. Those are basically our options at this point. And the Jaguars this upcoming week play the Panthers. So this is where like we had our chance, right? Jaguars finished with the Titans. And are they going to lose both of those games? Probably not, in my opinion. It's hard for me to see the Jaguars losing to the Panthers. But if Trevor Lawrence is out, then anything can happen at that point, right? Bryce Young coming off the best game in his career, even though the Panthers ended up losing. So if Trevor Lawrence doesn't play, it'd be an interesting game. But again, I still see the Jaguars being able to win. So not beating the Falcons was a massive missed opportunity. Just like not beating the Bengals, massive missed opportunity. Could have been sitting in the lead for the division this whole time, but we can't win when it matters most. And that's tough, man. That's so tough. This team's been so good all year long, but up and down here at the end, right? We felt like we were figuring it out. Had that 3-game losing streak, then went on a winning streak, and now we're sputtering here toward the end, which is exactly what you don't want to see. Okay, so going through some of these matchups, the Bills play the Patriots. Good chance they win and stay a game above us. The Texans are playing the Titans. That's a division game. Division games can go either which way. But with CJ Stroud coming back, it's hard to imagine the Texans losing to the Titans. So they're right there behind us. We're going to have to win if we want to stay in front of the Texans here. Okay, then I've already mentioned Jaguars are playing the Panthers. The Steelers are playing the Seahawks. Seahawks, in my opinion, should be able to win that game, but that's an interesting one, right? When the Steelers defense is on, anything can happen. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in that one. The Steelers offense was able to make things happen. George Pickens having his best game as a pro. So maybe the Steelers are able to figure something out, but I still see the Seahawks winning that game, which would definitely help us. Okay, the Broncos are sitting at 7-8 with a slim chance to make the playoffs. Losing to the Patriots really hurt their chances, but they play the Chargers, who obviously have already fired their coach. So Broncos should be able to win that game. You would kind of expect the Broncos to be able to win that game. But then one of the bigger games for the whole playoff picture is going to be Chiefs versus Bengals. And it will be interesting to see which Bengals team decides to show up, right? Is Jake Browning going to come out and look like he did this past week, or is he going to look the way he did against us, right? There's either which way this could go. And this is why I mentioned earlier, I could see the Chiefs losing out. One of those games is the Bengals. And this is a spot where, at the moment, the Raiders have a chance to win the AFC West if they can win out and the Chiefs lose out. So we're going to be getting the Raiders' best shot. The Chiefs have to give it their best shot to maintain their lead in the division. If they win against the Bengals, they win their division. So you would expect you're going to get their best. But that Chiefs team, again, just hasn't been the same this year as they have been in years past. So if the Bengals are able to win, then that would be massive for them, especially if the Raiders are able to beat us, right? You would have Bengals sitting in that playoff spot. So there are a lot of really important games, and it looks like a lot of the teams we need to lose could have a good chance at winning this week. So we're going to have to be able to win this game against the Raiders. Like, this is, again, another playoff game. Playoffs, started last week. We talked about that was a playoff game against the Falcons, and we didn't show up. Now, luckily, these last two games are at home. So going against the Raiders in Lucas Oil, that'll help, but nothing's guaranteed, right? We just saw what the Raiders were able to do against the Chiefs. We saw the week before they put up 63 points. Okay, but the week before that, this is a team that put up 0 points. And honestly, against the Chiefs, they scored 2 defensive touchdowns. So it's not like we should be too worried about the offense. It's more the defense. And we'll talk more about that matchup as the week goes on. Practice reports are going to start tomorrow. We'll have that for you. So go ahead and make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you get notified when any other videos come out. Of course, I appreciate you stopping by for another video. As always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.